Hi, Jana.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining me to talk about like your relationships with kids and like how you build them. I'm just like so proud of you, like as a teacher fellow, and like your growth and the things that you do in the classroom, like how you respond to data, how you just love your kids, and I just wanted to bring some of that out in this discussion.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name's Jana Moon. I'm 35 years old. Right now I'm currently working in the second grade classroom at BVP ES2. Last year I was working in fourth grade, and then I substituted in art, which was a very rewarding experience because I got to teach from kindergarten to fourth grade. Before that, for 12 years, I worked for a video production company, but I was laid off, unfortunately. So I had to reinvent the wheel. My daughter actually attends here, and one day when I was looking and seeking job opportunities, potential career changes, I came to VP ES2 for a whole school community circle. When I was standing there was a little boy who turned around and he like looked at me and he gave me this smile, this big cheeseball grin, and come to find out a week later I became his teacher.
That's amazing.
But when I was looking around at the circle, I felt this community, and I felt like, wow, I think I could fit in here, and I think I could not only excel but make a great impact in these children's lives.
Yeah, and you have done that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, let's get started. So how have you been able to create a welcoming and inclusive classroom environment for all students?
So I'm not sure if it's being 5 feet tall, having green hairs, tattoos, gauges, or having like a disco strobe light in my room that makes it appealing to the class. But I will tell you one thing that I've done that I just now realized after a year of experience. I do what a lot of professionals don't do, and that is hug and play cheese tag at recess. I have no idea how to play cheese tag still, but I still do it, and the kids look forward to it, and they glimmer and they shine when I do participate. A little boy actually made me a book, and this book talks about, it's actually Miss Moon is the best, and it talks about the author. There's an illustrator who designed the cover. They even put a price tag on this for $5.99. This is an excellent way to see how I have built a rapport with my students and what their thoughts are about me, their perceptions of me are. So when reading the story, it says that it was a nice community, a nice Friday, that I always create really great fun activities. There's always me with the green hair. I love the attention to detail there. They're using tools that I've given them in the classroom and on their own implementing it in their own creative way. And this just like melts my heart, and this is more impactful to me than like other shout outs that I might receive. Just this, along with other notes and drawings. These are, kids don't have money. This is their way of showing me that they care. Whether it's collection of rocks, or that they found seeds because we're in a pollination unit, or writing me a book or making me a card.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that, this project, just because it incorporates everything, just like you said, like the kids love you and they care about you, so they wanted to do something special for you, but it also connects to like all of the great work that you're like doing inside the classroom with the writing, teaching them about like what does a cover page have, right? Like what does that back page have? Like we need to have illustrations, and you're seeing that all through this project, and this was something that they chose to do on their own, and you didn't have to make them do that, which is even better, right?
I absolutely love my cohort for those reasons. They take feedback so well, and they want to go back and do better. And they're taking the tools that I'm teaching them and actually implementing them. Whether they might not know exactly what 2 + 2 is, they're learning social skills through me. They're learning love, kindness, and acceptance, and how to be creative.
They're also learning how to take feedback from you, because you take feedback very, very well in the coaching. Like anytime I give you a coaching point, you're like on it, ready to just like implement it. So you model it very, very well. So yes, keep doing that.
Feedback is meant to be a gift, but I'm a firm believer it's all in the delivery. The way you speak to anybody, whether it's you to me or myself to a student, why I I accept feedback so graciously from you is the way you deliver it to me. And that has helped me when I am mentoring these children and to providing them feedback.
Yeah.
So they do see this as a gift and not as a punishment or something demeaning.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. What strategies do you use to get to know your students on a personal level?
For a personal level, at the beginning of the year, I did an About Me page. So the kids, this was very important for me, not only to see where they are mentally, but emotionally, their hand dexterity, their creativity, and what type of effort they put into this About Me page. I've also done questionnaires. I still do those throughout the year because I want to touch base with my students. I'm their mentor. I'm not a dictator. We just said, feedback is a gift. I'm also very new, so if something isn't working, I want to improve. And I tell my students daily that it is my job to be their support. The last parent-teacher conference, one of the questionnaire questions said, like, do you feel like you have support? Someone that helps you. And two boys wrote no. They checked no. One of them, it was they didn't understand the question.
Okay.
When I rephrased it, they were like, oh, you're always here for me. So we quickly turned that bubble to a yes.
Yeah.
The other boy actually did say no, and he meant it. And I said, you're speaking your truth. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I want him to know it's my job to support you. So, like, if I'm not doing something, I want to know that, and I want to do better.
Yeah.
Now, like, about a month or two have passed, and I find it important not to just speak the spiel, but to follow through with it. So I have pulled the student, I've talked to him, asked if he feels like he's getting the support that he needs.
Yeah.
And he gave me a smile and ran away from me and said yes.
I love that. A little shy with it.
He definitely was shy, but I felt a lot more confident. And I have spoken to his mother as well, because that's part of the relationship. I want the parent to know I'm also the student's advocate and that I care about their success.
Yeah.
So I have had the parent be in the loop, and the parent also sees a difference as well.
I love
the
that.
student is more motivated, they're building more confidence. And I think it's just because I took the time to let them know that I care and that their feedback is valuable to me too.
Right. Can you share an example of a time when you built did I do this one yet?
No, you did not.
Oh, okay. Can you share an example of a time when you built a strong connection with a challenging student?
So I don't know what it is, but since starting here, I'm kind of a magnet for some of the challenging friends. I don't know why, but I kind of mesh well. I don't know if it's my art.
Because they know that
diversion.
You're gonna love them. It's that energy.
Yeah, I have. So I actually have ADHD. I'm not neurodivergent. I have a few other things going on as well. But that is what makes me the way I am, and why I think kids feel safe to come to me.
Yeah.
But to give you one specific example, I had a student last year, and he was always getting very testy and challenging and escalating, especially during ELA. Well, I did a little bit of info seeking, and I found out the student is like one of 8 children. That's all I needed to know. The kid wanted attention. He just wanted to be seen. So from that moment on, I made sure every ELA lesson, within the first 5 minutes, I let that kid raise his hand and speak whatever he wanted to speak about. So he felt seen and heard. This totally changed the game and the workflow and the relationships with him and other students in the classroom. By knowing that he was one of 8, I also do an extra credit, and I had him do a family tree, and that built our connection even more. I got to learn a little bit more about his family dynamic, who he gets along well with, who might have more of the attention at home. Yeah. So this was the foundation and what laid out my plan and created a better relationship between the two of us.
Yeah, it seems like this work is not just academics for you. It's all about the whole person, and you want to give the whole person what they need in order for them to be successful. I love that. I can't wait till years from now, when kids start reaching out to you, Miss Moon, come see me do this, let me come do this with me, and you know what I mean, because you're gonna get that response from kids.
I already have.
You know,
I've had families invite me over for dumplings, and I have joined, and that has actually strengthened the relationships as well.
That's fantastic.
And this family was Nepali, so it was awesome and a diverse setting, and it made myself a little uncomfortable, and I love that, and that's what children and people in this world need to realize and accept.
Yeah.
There's so much to learn from one another and from everyone's diverse backgrounds, whether we're neurodivergent, whether we have PTS. Any of these things are what makes us what we are, and we need to accentuate that and not try to repress it.
Right. I love that. What role do positive reinforcement and encouragement play in your relationship building approach?
So I don't think I realized I was actually implementing positive reinforcement until we recently talked about 2 weeks ago. Immediately within the first week of school, I looked around the room and I implemented what I call extra credit. I give out raffle tickets to students, and they get the different amount of raffle tickets. It's like a tiered system. You get 1 ticket if you do a ELA worksheet at home. You get 2 tickets for showing kindness, 3 tickets for creativity. I've also used these tickets as a behavior management tool. I had a friend last year who had ASD, autism spectrum disorder, and he would always get very angry, and he would go from green to red very quickly, and it would stay escalated. He would growl at people, he would growl at myself, and it would make the environment a little bit uncomfortable. So I came up with, if you can go from red to green without being mean, a little quick rhyme.
I love that.
The boy earned 5 raffle tickets.
Nice.
For 3 months straight, the aura of the room was different.
I love that.
Because of this incentive. So this positive reinforcement, hey, let's find a coping strategy instead of growling and being mean to people. It's okay to have your feelings, to be in the red zone. But let's take space and not take it out on the rest of the class.
I love that. That's brilliant. Has that been like transferable to your school team, or like how receptive are your school team like around your like the way you build relationships? Have you shared any of this with them?
I'm actually consistently sharing out my ideas, whether or not my colleagues are implementing them themselves. But this raffle ticket incentive, this positive reinforcement that I do, whenever I cross paths with any student in 2nd grade, they have the ability to earn these tickets. So even if my colleagues aren't doing this, if I have a student from another class and they're in my small group reading, they're earning tickets. And I do see the difference in their attitudes and their wanting to participate, to do the right things through these forms of positive reinforcement.
So you're still spreading that love. I love that.
And they share love with one another. So it's not me saying, I saw so-and-so be kind. It's they're writing and observing about one another's kindness. I do these kindness cards. So a student, I saw blank, show kindness by blank. The student who submits it earns 2 tickets. The student who it was about earns 2 tickets as well. Just for being kind.
I love that.
It helps like celebrate one another.
Absolutely. And we need kindness in this world, especially the way things are going these days.
That's actually why I became a teacher. All the violence is very, very scary to me. And if a kid doesn't remember that I taught them math, I'm fine with that. What I want them to know is that they matter. They are seen. There's channels that aren't violent and paths, and there's always somebody that will care about you.
Absolutely.
You just need to find the right person.
Right. Oh my gosh. How do you handle conflicts or misunderstandings with students while preserving a positive relationship?
Honesty is the best policy. I mean, whether it's a student or an adult, I show integrity. So if there's a misunderstanding, I will pull that student aside and have a conversation. In my classroom, we have a I'm sorry letter that we can fill out. I have actually modeled that, and I've written the student an apology. I'm no different. Like, I'm just their mentor. I'm not here to belittle anybody or make anyone feel down. But if I make a mistake, I'm also trying to teach them that we need to be accountable. I grew up in an environment where adults didn't have to say I'm sorry. It is what it is. I don't necessarily agree with that type of culture. So I believe in being accountable, showing kids that we can right our wrongs.
I love that. How do you adapt your relationship building strategies for students with diverse backgrounds and needs?
So very quickly, within the first week of school, I just observe and absorb all of this like intel and data. I'm watching their behaviors, their how they interact with one another, how, their attention to detail, listening skills. I absolutely love culture. I'm adopted, so I don't necessarily know my background, and that is why I'm driven, and I love learning about other people's cultures, especially if they definitively know what they are. I think that's worth celebrating.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the beginning of the year, I had a few students, and they immediately knew that I loved culture and want to learn. I have a thirst for learning, and I love that my students see that. Like, even though I'm grown, I'm still learning daily. But this one girl had told me that she didn't want to be Indian, and it broke my heart. And I was, why? And she said, because people assume that they're poor and that people treat them differently because of the color of their skin. Well, that just broke my heart. And I explained, that's only some perceptions of Indian culture. I go, when I think of Indian culture, I think of amazing food, aromas, the beautiful colors, their lavish outfits, and that's I think they're extremely brilliant. So the exact opposite of what her perception of her own culture is. And ironically, we did a door decoration contest. I totally rigged that. I'm not showing integrity right now. I totally rigged it. It was between Colombia and India. Knowing we have so many Indian students in my class, and after that conversation, I totally rigged it so India was our door, so that way we could represent Indian culture. Representation is also key to success in integrating culture into a diverse room. So having that, all my Indian students, they were fueled, they were spirited, and they're super proud of their culture.
I love that.
It was just so humbling.
So it was like one thing that like switched the whole dynamics of like how the kids were like feeling about themselves and their culture in that moment. A door, just decorating a door. How simple is that? Right?
I mean,
like listening, but you did like listen to the student, and he was like, I have to do something to make sure that this student feels like belonging. Bam, this is the thing, I'm gonna do it, and it changed the whole dynamics of your classroom.
And
that's
the
amazing.
whole class got involved and learned about the Indian culture. It wasn't just those 4 or 5 kids.
Yeah, I love that. How do you use communication with families to strengthen your connection with students?
I don't know if it's from working with film and video for 12 years. It's literally embedded into my core. I love it. So I probably have already taken like 1,500, no joke, pictures and videos. My best form of communication is through text message, sending home pictures of their children. When I'm a parent, I had my daughter in daycare. Nothing made me feel more better while at work or during my day than getting a picture of my daughter successful in the classroom, engaged, happy. That immediately makes a parent feel safe and trusting. And knowing that is why I do this so often with many of my students. A lot of them will actually flag me down and during recess and be like, it's photo time. All right, we gotta reel that in. But these are ways to communicate with families, and I think I send so much more positive feedback to parents versus just sending, oh, your child got a 4 today on an assignment. I touch points on growth. Growth is super valuable and should be rewarded and acknowledged. So if a student who is super shy or very emotional at the beginning of the year has made advancements or is developing friendships, is growing, is starting to communicate why they're upset versus just melting down, that needs to be acknowledged and embraced by parents. I know some children go home and they feel very, very upset if they don't have a 4. But I also am trying to teach and explain to and communicate with families effectively that growth sometimes is more important than a 4. If at the beginning of the year you had meltdowns and you never finished a task, but now you finished a book, that is impressive. You might not have gotten a 4, but that is growth and that needs to be recognized.
Absolutely. So how do you think your positivity helps when it comes to when you have to have a crucial conversation with a parent about maybe a student's academic growth or their behavior in the classroom? How does that positivity help you, or does it help you support in having those crucial conversations?
I think because I make touch points with parents, not just about academics, about their child and their life skills, respect, discipline, do they clean up after themselves, do they help others? Because I make those touch points with parents so often, when I do have to say, today they were kind of running around or academically they're behind, it makes those moments actually a lot easier because they genuinely know that I care and I have done the preliminary work of building the relationship, and a positive relationship, a trusting one between myself and the student, that the parents like have my back.
Yeah.
I don't, knock on wood, I haven't really had a conflict with a parent in some form of communication I've made with them.
Yeah. It's probably because you're like so positive, and that positivity, it's like, I know that my teacher or my my child's teacher is going to give me the feedback, right? And it's always mostly positive or whatever, like this positive thing first, and then like gives you the, hey, but we need to fix this, right? And I think like you're a parent, I'm a parent, and like getting those conversations of like positivity, I feel more like, I know that I felt like more when it came to the teacher of that they care about my kid, and it's not just like, oh, if my kid does something negative that I'm going to get these phone calls, that you believe in my kid can do something positive, and if there's something negative that we can talk about it. And I love the way you go about like that whole communication, you know, that's amazing. What advice would you give to a new teacher about establishing strong relationships with their students?
The aura you give is the aura you're gonna receive. Just in life, think about it. If you go to the grocery store and someone just walks by you miserable and doesn't say hi, it does make an impact. Mm-hmm. So if you are a teacher, you need to lead by example. These children are sponges. They're absorbing everything you do. Even if you think you're not being watched, you are being watched by at least one child in the room. So if you walk in and you're sloppy, you're late, you're miserable, you're negative, you're not inspiring, that is the atmosphere you're going to create for your classroom. If you create an environment where rules aren't, like they can break the rules and there's no consequence, if you don't hold students to high expectations, they're not going to hold themselves to a high expectation. They're just children, especially we're K to 4. There's not one student in this building that is at that capacity and capable to do that themselves. So it's on us to model this in the classroom.
Right.
And I actually think that's probably one of the reasons why I mesh so well. Mm-hmm. And like, again, with these notes and cards that students write, it gives me great insight into what they see me.
Yeah.
I had a girl, I wish I brought it today. Mm-hmm. She just said she's super shy, but she is advancing and building her confidence that I see daily. Yeah. In my magnetic reading class, the girl was always quiet. Mm-hmm. Now she's the one doing all the things and showing enthusiasm and all this. And that makes me feel so wholesome and happy. But what she wrote me was saying that she absolutely loves me. Thank you for being her teacher, and that I make her so happy. I wish I knew like what about me makes her happy. Yeah. I think I might ask her that just because I'm curious.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to know that I make her so happy every day, that means that she wants to come to school, and that makes my heart so happy.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like an additional question because it just came to my head right now. But like, do you have like a high attendance in your classroom? Like, are kids like normally out? Like, what does your attendance look like? Because I want to like make the connection between like student attendance and like teacher presence and how, you know?
There are a few students that I think have some outside things going on, and that is preventing some of them showing up in the classroom. Yeah. But when they are there, they are engaged. Okay. They do, like if they are not in and I send something home to do, they'll do it, and they're gonna run in the room to show me that they finished the handwriting practice packet. All these little things. So even if they're not there, when they are there, they are fully present. Okay. But there are some things that are out of my control. Absolutely. And I don't think are related to just like my teaching methodology.
Do you reach out to parents if you see like this trend? Oh, okay. And then are parents like receptive? Like, Okay.
I'm a little teeter-totter with that.
Okay.
There's only so much in my role that I can
Yes,
say to
absolutely.
a parent.
Yeah.
So in some cases, I've received like feedback and actual reasons and explanations to why a student is not present.
Yeah. Yeah.
In other cases, I
Okay,
can't say
the
that I've gotten that.
communication. Okay, okay, so it might be something that the parents or the family just doesn't feel comfortable sharing.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Jana, thank you so much for taking time out your day. I know, like, teachers are busy. You got all these things going on, moving parts, but I just, like, really appreciate you. I appreciate you as a person. I appreciate you as an educator. I appreciate you as just a dynamic lover of kids and just, like, wanting them to be their best selves and grow, and I know they will. And I want you to move to 3rd grade next year with those kids.
My cohort is great. They're absolutely wonderful. And I guess one more piece of advice to educators is you need to learn to advocate and accept the leadership role immediately.
Right.
Again, coming from a complete change in roles from video, I was working by myself behind a computer telling a bunch of adults what to do.
Yeah.
Now I'm working with 29 children.
Yeah.
So it's just advocate.
Yep.
I've been left alone a lot, which is totally fine, but I learned through myself, and it's just my personality is to question everything.
Yeah.
So I'm not the type of person to just go with the flow. I wish at times I was.
Yeah.
But because of that, I think that is why I'm
glad you're
implementing
not.
changes. I'm glad
I'm
not
glad
either.
you're not. Like, I don't want you to go with
I
the
think
flow.
it's making
love
an
that
impact
your
on the
brain
class.
is like on the next thing, and nope, you gotta keep moving. Yeah, don't go with the flow.
My life experiences also molded and have created. I have actual trauma from school. I'm shocked I work in a school, and I'm actually going for my master's at Grand Canyon University. But I have stress, and I still have nightmares from my own experience in school. So I don't want that for any child,
Yeah.
and I want them to know that they have someone safe.
Yeah, I love that.
So thank you.
Yeah,
You've been a great mentor.
Thank you so much. All right, thank you.
Did you hit?
We did it today.
Oh, wait.